Hi, it's Stefania over at Positive Affirmations and Audio Stories. And we've got the second story for you now. It's continuing from the book Uncle Wiggily's Adventures. If you remember in the last story, Uncle Wiggily had been tricked by a bear, and now he was a prisoner in the bear's den, the bear's closet. So, is he going to get out or is he going to get eaten? I think we know the answer. Uncle Wiggily always ends up well. Here we go. Uncle Wiggily goes fishing. At first, after he found himself shut up in the bear's dark closet where we left him in the story before this, Uncle Wiggily didn't know what to think. He just sat there on the edge of a chair and he tried to look around and see something, but it was too black, so he couldn't. Perhaps this is only a joke, thought the old gentleman rabbit, though I never knew a black bear to joke before. But perhaps it is. I'll ask him. So Uncle Wiggily called out, "Is this a joke, Mr. Bear?" "Not a bit of it," was the growling answer. "You'll soon see what's going to happen to you. I'm getting the fire ready now." "Getting the fire ready for what? The adventure or for my fortune?" asked the rabbit, for he still hoped the bear was only joking with him. "Ready to cook you," was the reply. "That's what the fire is for." And the bear gnashed his teeth together something terrible, and with his sharp claws he clawed big splinters off the stove. That stump. And with them he started the fire in the stove. With the splinters, I mean, not with his claws. The blazing fire made it a little brighter in the hollow stump, which was the black bear's den, and Uncle Wiggily could look out of a crack in the door and see what a savage fellow the shaggy bear was. You see, that bear just hid in the stump, waiting for helpless animals to come along, and then he tricked them into jumping down inside it. There wasn't a word of truth about him having sore eyes or about him having to wear dark spectacles either, as he would tell them. Oh my, I guess this is the end of my adventures, thought the rabbit. I should have been more careful. Well, I wish I could see Sammy and Susie before he eats me, but I'm afraid I can't. I shouldn't have jumped down here. But as Uncle Wiggily happened to think of Sammy Littletail the rabbit boy, he also thought of something else. And that was that Sammy had put something in the old gentleman's rabbit case that morning before his uncle had started off. "If you ever get into trouble, Uncle Wiggily," Sammy had said, "this may come in useful for you." Uncle Wiggily didn't look at the time to see what it was that his nephew put in the valise, his case, but he made up his mind he would do so now. So he opened his case, and there, among other things, was a long piece of thin but strong rope, and pinned to it was a note which read, "Dear Uncle Wiggily, this is good to help you get out of a window in case of a fire." "My goodness!" exclaimed Uncle Wiggily. "That's fine. There the bear is, making a fire to cook me, and with this rope I can get away from it. Now, if there's only a window in this closet, I'm all right." So he looked, and sure enough, there was a window, and with his crutch, Uncle Wiggily raised it. Then he threw out his case, and he tied the rope to a hook on the windowsill, and being a strong old gentleman, he crawled out of the window and slid down the cord. And Uncle Wiggily got out just as the bear opened the closet to grab him and put him in the pot. And When the savage creature saw his fine rabbit dinner getting away, he was as angry as anything, really he was. "Here! Come back here!" cried the bear. But, of course, Uncle Wiggily knew better than to come back. He slid down the rope to the ground, and then he cut off as much of the rope as he could and put it in his pocket, for he didn't know when he might need it again. Then, catching up his case, he ran on and on before the bear could get to him. It was still quite a dark place in which Uncle Wiggily was, for you see, he was underground, down by the roots of the stump. But he looked ahead, and he saw a little glimmer of light and knew he could get out. Limping on his crutch and carrying his case, he went on, and pretty soon he came out of a dark cave and found himself on the bank of a nice little brook that was running over mossy green stones. "Pah! This is better than being in a rabbit's den," exclaimed the old gentleman rabbit. "My, I was so frightened that I forgot about my rheumatism hurting me." That was an adventure, all right, and Sammy was a good boy to think of that strong cord. Now, what shall I do next? Well, Uncle Wiggily sat down on the bank of a brook and he looked in the water. Then he happened to see a fish jump up to catch a bug. So he said to himself, "I guess I'll go fishing, just for fun. But if I do happen to catch any fish, I'll put them right back in the water again, for I don't need any fish, as I have some lettuce and cabbage sandwiches and some peanut butter cakes that Susie's mama put in a cracker box for me." Well, Uncle Wiggily looked into his case to make sure his lunch was safe, and then, taking a bent pin from his vest, he fastened it to a part of the string Sammy had given him. Then he fastened the string to a pole, and he was ready to fish. But he needed something to make the fishes bite. That is, bite the pinhook, not bite him, you know. "Oh, I guess they'll like a bit of sweet cracker," Uncle Wiggily thought. So he put some on the end of the pinhook and threw it into the water. It fell in with a splash and made a lot of little circles, like Ring Around the Rosies, and the rabbit sat there looking at them, sort of nodding and half asleep, and wondering what adventure would happen to him next, and where he would stay that night. All of a sudden, he felt something tugging at the hook and line. "Oh, I've got a fish! I've got a fish!" he cried as he lifted up the pole. Up, out of the water with a sizzling rush flew the string and the sweet cracker bait, and the next minute, out leaped a big, savage alligator that had escaped from the circus. "Ho, ho, 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 ho! So you tried to catch me!" the alligator shouted at Uncle Wiggily. "No, if you please," said Uncle Wiggily. "I was after fish." "Oh, and I'm after you!" cried the alligator, and scrambling up the bank, he made a jump for Uncle Wiggily, and with one sweep of his kinky, scaly tail, he flopped, and he threw the old gentleman rabbit and his crutch and case right up into a big tree that grew near the brook. "There you'll stay until I get ready to eat you," exclaimed the alligator as he stood up on the end of his tail under the tree and opened his mouth as wide as he could, so that if Uncle Wiggily fell down, he'd fall into it, just like down a funnel, you know. Well, the poor old gentleman rabbit clung to the topmost tree branch, wondering how in the world he was going to escape from the alligator. Oh, it was a dreadful position to be in. But hey, don't worry. Don't stay awake over it. I'll find a way to get him down safely. You'll see. And next, I will tell you about Uncle Wiggily and the Black Crow. And that's it for story number 2. We'll be back again in several days with story number 3. Bye for now.